For my class, I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page when it comes to talking about Bloom's taxonomy. So you have the basics of Bloom's taxonomy. I wanted to explain a little bit more about some of the concepts that I'm asking you to participate in. And so one of those things is, so let's do a review really quick on Bloom's taxonomy. So first of all, we have the factual or the knowledge piece, right? So we're asking students to give us the facts. So what do things look like? Where were they? How were they created? All that kind of stuff. And then we want to find, we want to get to a point where we can get some conceptualization, or the students are able to demonstrate to us that they understand the basic concepts of what's going on. So they understand what's going on. And then we're looking for procedural, or we're looking for them to analyze and apply what they've learned, or demonstrate that to us. And once they're able to do that, then we get into the metacognitive domain, where students are able to create things and evaluate things. And so this is the highest level of learning according to Bloom's taxonomy. So what I'm asking you to do is just to simply kind of short circuit all of this fancy language, because sometimes we're not sure if what we're doing is on the factual domain, or the conceptual domain, or procedural domain, or the metacognitive domain, and we simply just need students to do stuff for us, right? And so what I'm suggesting is that we move to a shortcut, shorthand, if you will, focusing on what, so what, and now what. So what deals mostly with the factual and some basic concepts of the conceptual. And so the what questions are really around facts: who, what, when, where, why, how, kinds of questions. They bleed over to the so what. And the so what really is about what do these concepts mean, or what do you understand about these concepts, and then how do you apply these concepts, and how do you analyze those concepts. So it's really about the procedural and the conceptual. So the what is about the factual pieces. The so what is about the more critical thinking around the procedure and the conceptual. The now what is a mix of the procedural and the metacognitive. So now that you have seen me do this, or now that you've understand this particular concept, what are you going to do with that? How do you create a new opportunity or new meaning with that? Or how do you evaluate the process that you've been a part of? And so moving students from this factual, remembering, understanding, to applying, to analyzing, to evaluating, to creating things, we can also shortcut that with this what, so what, and now what. And so when we're looking at creating technology to capture students' learning, we want to work students through this Bloom's taxonomy. The interesting thing about the taxonomy is that it's not necessarily a linear process. Although we've demonstrated in this particular model as a linear process, it is not necessarily linear. And so your questions can come in at different points. But understand, if there isn't a foundation of facts, then your students may not necessarily give you the depth of answers that you're looking for. And this is where oftentimes we'll get students who will try to bluff their way through an essay question, right? So they will repeat the question back to us. They'll give us the facts that they know, and then regurgitate as much as possible. When actually what we want in those journals, what we want in that process is to move students through this from just talking about facts to creating some new meaning and some new learning for themselves. Another way to kind of think about Bloom's taxonomy is to also think about Kolb's learning cycle, or Kolb's learning styles. And what David Kolb suggests is that students participate in some kind of action. And there is a difference between learning and being active. So, for example, the game Monopoly is an activity, right? It is a game. Its sole purpose alone is to engage in the process. However, you can use Monopoly as a learning tool, but you must apply these principles to make that happen. So the first is understanding that there is something that happens. There's a situation, there's an action that is being engaged, and so for this to be a learning process, there then needs to be a reflection process that occurs. So the students have opportunity to reflect on that information and kind of figure out the what, the so what, the now what. So we start moving them through Bloom's taxonomy just by this process of reflection. And then once that reflection has happened, students then gain new knowledge or new information. And this new knowledge or new information allows the student to then have access to a world of choices that they may not have had before. And so this new knowledge or this new information is great. Now, one thing I will say is that it is questionable if someone has new information, if they're not able to apply that information, if it's actually valuable information to them or to anyone else. So, for example, if I go to law school, I should walk away from law school understanding the law. The same if I go to a trade school. If I can't, if I'm not a better carpenter because I've gone to a trade school or a union shop, then it may be I may have the information, but if it's not transferable, if I can't apply it to new situations, then it's questionable if that was an authentic learning experience. And so students need to learn how to transfer that learning to new situations. And so very much like Bloom's taxonomy, we're moving from the factual to the cognitive. We're moving from remembering information or taking in information to actually creating or demonstrating information. David Kolb does the same thing in this cycle. And a good way to even think about this is to think about the what, the so what, the now what. All right? So that will be the end of this particular lecture. We'll have some more conversations in just a bit. All right, thanks. Bye.